In the end, where all of this is headed is J.D. Vance for president in 2028. That is the lead, which they have buried. As quickly as they got J.D. Vance in the vice presidency nomination last year, they want to get him in the Oval Office in 2028. They want to make him the president. Why? Who knows? But there are powerful, powerful forces in Silicon Valley, billionaires, the GOP, all the king's men that want to make J.D. Vance the president. And I have identified myself very early on as an opponent of J.D. Vance. And for that, they want to bury me. For that, they want to kill me. Because I'm telling a lot of young men that Vance is going to need in the election, I'm telling a lot of young men, do not trust this guy because this guy is a creep. We don't know who he is. We don't know what his real name is. We don't know what his real job is. We don't know who he owes, who blackmailed him, who he works for. We just don't know anything about this guy. And it's weird. It's weird. He's weird. His family's weird. It's weird that they're all promoting him. Something is not right here. And that much is obvious. Everybody with eyes can see that something is off about that. And that's the biggest thing. And I believe it when I say this, that if I were going out on the show every night and saying, let's all be good team players and let's all vote for J.D. Vance in 28, they would tolerate me. Trust me when I tell you that if I were going out every day on the show and saying, let's all be good little Republicans and let's dutifully vote for J.D. Vance, you know they would tolerate me. They would tolerate my antics. They would tolerate my extremism. They would tolerate all of it. They would bring me in under their wing as a junior partner. They would pat me on the head. They would give me opportunities if I was willing to play ball, if I was willing to horse trade, if I was willing to say, vote for JD, everybody, we got to be all in. But they are clearing the runway. They have created a media ecosystem using comedians, using podcasts, using conventions, using things like Turning Point. They have created a runway, and they have cleared the runway for Vance to be unopposed in 28, to raise $1 billion, and then to be the next president, to inherit all the machinery that Trump created, all this stuff that Trump has done with the executive branch, all the rules Trump has broken. They want J.D. Vance to inherit that. You want to know why? It's the same reason Elon Musk was brought into this administration. Elon Musk brought in Doge in the beginning of the year. They cut no waste, fraud, or abuse. They didn't cut any spending. But you know what they did do? Elon Musk made all the hiring decisions in the Pentagon. Elon Musk and the Silicon Valley people, they made all the decisions about hiring and firing in the Department of War. Why does that matter? Because the Department of War is going to determine who gets the military contracts when the military embraces AI, when the military embraces unmanned aircraft, boats, vehicles. Who is going to build the fleet of unmanned ships? Who is going to build the fleet of unmanned aircraft, of drones? Who is going to handle AI for the military? It will be those people that were brought in because of Elon's money, because of David Sachs' fundraiser, brokered by Vance. They will be making those decisions. Like, for example, they're going to bring in Anduril, Palmer Luckey's company, funded by Thiel. Vance actually brokered the deal for venture capital to invest in Anduril. Vance's position at Mithril, Peter Thiel's venture capital firm, allowed Vance to funnel money into Palmer Luckey's Anduril. Where is Anduril building their drone factory? In Ohio. In Ohio, where J.D. Vance is from, where Les Wexner did a fundraiser for Vance to make him the senator. And now that Vance left his Senate seat, they arranged for the lieutenant governor of Ohio to fill that Senate seat. So he would be taken out of the running for Ohio governor, and Trump would endorse Vivek Ramaswamy. So that when Ramaswamy becomes governor of Ohio, they will be favorable to Palmer Luckey's Anduril plant, and his people in the Pentagon will buy his drones and whatever. That's a taste. That's a taste of what you can expect when Vance becomes president. It's a taste. And when Elon dragged his people through all the different government departments and agencies to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, they didn't do a lot of cutting, but you know what they did bring in? They brought in Palantir. How are we going to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse? We have to take all the data from the Social Security Administration, from the Treasury Department, from the Education Department. We have to plug it into our AI software so that we can evaluate where the waste, fraud, and abuse is. Well, they didn't cut $2 trillion or even $1 trillion in spending as promised, but you know what they did do? They got 4 more departments and agencies onto Palantir software. And they are the Social Security Administration, they are Health and Human Services, they are the Treasury Department, and the Department of Education. What a coincidence. Because Elon Musk was at PayPal, like Peter Thiel. It's all the same people. Andreessen Horowitz, Oracle, PayPal, Palantir, these are all the same people working for all the same investors, working for all the same founders. And they were all at the same fundraiser, and they all gave their money to this administration. And there it is. That's the other thing they're going to push in 26. They want to neutralize all the enemies of Vance so that in 2027, no one is even going to think of challenging Vance in the primary. They want to clear the way so that DeSantis, so that Rubio, so that nobody will even think of raising a challenge. Vance will secure the nomination, and then as quickly as he became the nominee, he'll become the president. And that's how you go from a never-Trumper in 2020 to a Trump-endorsed, Thiel-funded senator in 22 to a Thiel, Tucker, Elon lobbied vice presidential candidate in 24. And in 25, they're ready to give him the crown. They want him to be the president. We don't even know who the fuck he is. This administration is already crashing and burning, and he's a number 2 in command. And they're ready for him to be the next guy. So this is a message. This is a plea. This is a beacon to all real Americans. If you want to take your country back, you have to stand up and take your own side. It's all coming down to this. This country is not here for AI. This country is not here for a bunch of immigrant founders. This country does not belong to Indians and Jews. This country belongs to the descendants of the people that founded it. It belongs to European civilization and Christendom. And if you want to foist this fat jelly donut on us as president with his Indian wife and kids, then you better give us what we deserve. An immigration moratorium. We need to restrain Israel. We want our country back. Don't just give it up without a fight. Oh, I guess we're all just voting for Vance. I guess we're all just doing this now. No, fuck that. Whether a Republican wins in 28 or not, this country is finished. You do realize that, right? They'll tell you, well, it's better than the Democrat. Well, it's better than nothing. Well, it's better than the alternative. Whether a Republican wins or a Democrat wins doesn't make a fucking difference, as evidenced by this administration. This country is going down the tubes with or without Trump winning in 24. It'll go down the tubes with or without Vance winning in 2028. Understand that. We're finished. Whatever happens there. We need drastic action. So it's time for white people to start demanding more from our elected representatives. It's all these other people that would convince you to settle for less. Negotiate with yourself and settle for less. Settle for whatever they will serve up on a platter. Settle for whatever slop and shit they're going to feed you. And we're going to have to start to say, no, we deserve more than what we're getting. We deserve more than what we're getting from Trump. We deserve more than what we're getting from our elites. If you want us to get on board, you better earn it. You better make it worth our while. And that is something they do not want to have to do. That's the real battle. They're not after me. They're after all of you because they want your vote. They're not after me. They don't give a shit about me one way or the other. They want me to get everybody to calm down. They want me to corral everybody and lead them to Vance. They want me to get everybody to chill out, stop being angry, stop being mad that our country's being destroyed. Just chill out and relax, and let's just vote Republican every year forever. Just keep voting Republican. Don't look up. Don't look right or left at how you're being outnumbered. Just shut the fuck up and vote Republican. We promise we'll make a Big Mac cheaper. And I won't do it. And for that, they're going to try to get me killed. So that's what's on my radar in 2026. And I'll tell you what else. 2026, we'd be lucky if we stay out of war with Iran. Look at the year in review for this Trump administration. Take this to the bank. 2025, what did they tell you? They told you this year was going to be a golden age. Think about where we were this time last year. Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember where you were on election night in 2024? I remember where I was. I was here streaming the show, feeling like an idiot because I didn't vote for Trump and everybody was so exuberant, so over the moon. Everybody was celebrating. Do you remember where you were? Do you remember the excitement, the energy, the hopes, the expectations? And then what happened? A month later, We got Vivek Ramaswamy and Sriram Krishnam and Elon Musk telling us that if we didn't want infinite H-1B visas, that we should fuck ourselves in the face. We got Marco Rubio as our Secretary of State, John Ratcliffe as the director of the CIA. Total disappointment as far as the cabinet is concerned. They promised us it would be different this time. It would be a golden age. They said there would be mass deportations. You're going back, they said. And how are we doing here in 2025? Well, let's see. According to the latest ICE data, we have deported 330,000 people this year. 330,000. So Joe Biden brought in 10 million in 4 years. That's an average of 2.5 million per year. We deported 300,000 this year. You multiply that by 4, we get 1.2 million by the end of the first term. That's not massive. How are we doing in terms of the wars? Well, let's see. Trump has bombed Somalia more than any president in history. We bombed Nigeria on Christmas. We've bombed Venezuela 25 times. We bombed Iran. We bombed Syria last week. We bombed Yemen. We went to war with Yemen for a month. How many countries has the Trump administration bombed? I think it's a dozen. We're still at war in Ukraine. Looks like we're going to go back into Iran pending the 5th meeting between Trump and Netanyahu on the 29th to bomb their ballistic missile program. How about trade and tariffs? Is that making the economy stronger? In October, they didn't even release the jobs numbers because it was so bad. No infrastructure bill, no investment, no jobs in the country. We did get a corporate tax cut, an extension of the corporate tax cut from 2017. How about transparency on the JFK assassination, Epstein files, 9/11? We got none of it. Congress had to force the Trump administration to release the Epstein files, and the files we got are heavily redacted. They're withholding most of them, and the ones that we got, it's like a joke. They're blacked out completely. People had to actually copy and paste the text, had to use an exploit in the documents to even get anything out of them. 1 year in, it is a complete disaster, maybe a disaster exceeding anybody's expectations. And what did they say about me during the election last year? They said I was a Democrat shill. They said I was a Democrat plant for saying that maybe we should have some expectations. In 2024, I said, I will not vote for Trump unless he pledges not to bomb Iran, unless he promises an immigration moratorium. Well, Trump bombed Iran, and in terms of immigration, we filled the H-1B cap, we doubled the number of Chinese students, and we don't have mass deportations. So maybe it would have been a good thing if we forced Trump's feet to the fire on those issues. Maybe it would have been a good thing if we demanded a commitment back then when he needed our vote, not now when he needs nothing from us. For that, I was called a shill, plant, a fed. They said I made a deal with the FBI. To avoid prosecution, I said that I would not get Trump elected. Now you see that I was right. And the reason I bring this up is because just as quickly as Trump has crashed and burned, they want us to forget about it and already get ready for the next one. As quickly as Trump has crashed and burned, it took all of 1 year for every promise to be broken, every promise to be totally destroyed. They want us to get ready to hold our nose and vote for the next one. You don't like this administration? Well, get ready to vote for the second in command of this administration, because that will surely be better. Why would it be better? Why is it better for us to commit right now? Why is it better? Why would we even, in the first place, why would it be smart for us to commit to vote at all in 2028? Why don't you worry about this year? Why don't you worry about governing? You want us to vote in 28? It's 25 and nothing is going right. Why don't you worry about this administration? Worry about 2026 and 2027. Worry about keeping your promises, doing a good job before we even think about voting in 28 at all. But to boot, they want us to get ready to vote for the second in command? There's not even a primary. We don't even know who this guy is. What does he do other than give speeches? Well, he gave a great speech at Turning Point. He's saying all the right things. Okay, well, so did Trump. So did Obama. So did a lot of people. That's politics. He said all the right things. Everybody says the right things. That's politics. Okay, he's good at saying the right things. It's not that hard, actually. Why don't we wait and see? And that's my pitch. I'm not pledging to vote for anybody, Republican or Democrat, J.D. Vance or anybody else, until we actually get to 2028. I want to see who the candidates are. I want to see their pitch, and I want to see how this vice president governs. You want my vote? Hey, you have power. Turn the ship around. You want my vote? Why don't you walk across the fucking hallway and talk to your boss about that? They say, vote for JD. Everybody needs to get on board for JD. I don't know. 47 is not doing such a great job. Maybe 48 should walk down the hall, knock on the door of the Oval Office and say, hey, you're killing my chance at getting elected. How's that for an incentive? You want to talk about Vance for 48? Everyone's getting behind him. We're all ready for that. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that until I get my mass deportations, until the war in Ukraine is over, until somebody can restrain Israel and prevent them from getting us into another war. I'm not getting ready to vote for anybody until we can shut down all immigration from all these countries. You want to bring in Indians and Chinese? Then start deporting more than you bring in. Get us to net zero. Then we can talk about skilled migration or any migration for that matter. They're already telling us, get ready, get in line to vote again, get your registration. Fuck you. Everybody knows this country is finished. Everybody knows the country's going down the tubes. The Republicans will not lift a finger to do a thing about it. The graft, the corruption, the stealing, if you knew the extent of it, you would want a revolution tomorrow. You would want to kill these people. And I'm not saying to do that, not encouraging violence, but I'm saying you would want to. If you could see the graft and the corruption, the stealing that is going on in this administration from these people that were picked by Trump, it is just the most brazen cronyism and larceny, embezzlement you've ever even heard of. It's like unheard of. And they're already telling you, well, get ready to vote for Vance. It is a level of hubris I've never seen before. And I'm one of the only people that's not at the party. I'm one of the only people that's not being paid under the table in 24 and 25. All these other people are ready to say, well, I like Vance. Well, I'm getting ready to vote Republican. Well, Trump's still doing an okay job. No, I don't think so. I don't think you understand. There's a lot more urgency, and we want more than what we're getting. So I'm leaving myself open to all options, and I'm willing to punish the GOP. I do believe the GOP needs to be burned to the fucking ground. Because I'll tell you what, if Donald Trump cannot get it together in the next 3 years, that is exactly what the GOP deserves. The voters did their part. The voters delivered the White House, the popular vote, the Electoral College, the House, the Senate. The voters delivered a mandate. If you can't capitalize on this the third time, you won in 2016, you blew it in 20, you got back in 24. If you blew yet another opportunity when you had everything going for you, you promised so much, delivered so little. If you blow it again, you don't deserve to get in power for another 4 years. You deserve to be fired. The GOP deserves to be burned to the fucking ground. And they want to say, well, we'll never come back from that. Well, it'll take us all this time to rebuild, but this. Then you better get your ass in overdrive. Don't tell me. I'm a podcaster. Don't come and give me a hard time. I'm not running for office. I'm a live streamer. I'm a podcaster. I'm a weird kid in my basement, for crying out loud. Don't come and cry to me. Well, we're trying to win in 28 and you're not being a good member of the team. I'm not a member of the team. I don't have a jersey and I don't have a contract and I'm not getting fucking paid. Don't come and tell me about we're going to have a hard time in 28. You have an opportunity. You have the House. You have the Senate. You have the White House. You ran the table and the voters delivered. And now you're fucking stealing. You're not delivering. You're flapping your gums. You're stealing. You're lazy. Nobody gives a shit. And you want us to go out and vote again in 28? We should go out and destroy you in 28. We should go out and absolutely burn you to the ground in 28. You'd be lucky to leave with your lives and only have the party destroyed for this treason. They go in July and say, you want the Epstein tapes? I don't need your vote. You want the Epstein tapes? You're a sucker. You want me then to go and campaign for this shit? J.D. Vance goes on Theo Von and says, I don't know what Palantir is. I don't know what that is. Tucker goes on Theo Von. I don't know what Palantir is. Oh, like hell you don't know what Palantir is, you fucking liar. It's disgusting. So my message is this. There is a loaded gun pointed at the GOP. Fix it now. Fix the country or get blown away in 28. That's it. No negotiations. No one's holding their nose one more time. No one's going to be a good sport. We're not going to hold the line. We're not going to vote for the lesser of two evil. There is a loaded gun pointed at the GOP, figuratively, not literally. Figuratively. It's a very toxic climate right now, violent climate. But figuratively, there's a loaded gun pointed at the GOP. You better fix this country. J.D. Vance, you better march down to the Oval Office and get this guy awake from his nap and fix the country, or none of us are turning out in 28. That's an ultimatum. Don't say we wanted to burn it to the ground. We wanted to succeed. You have left us no choice. And then we'll have a new generation in 2032. You don't want to see what that looks like. You think this is bad? You don't want to see what comes next if Trump fails. So don't give me this, well, they only want to destroy and we want to build. You want to build? Well, then get started. Get started on the mass deportations. Don't tell me about 600,000 Chinese students and you're going to fill the H-1B visa cap every year. And we need the students for the universities and we need the talent and we need the labor and all that nonsense. You keep talking like that, you could blow it out your ass in 28.
Okay, so there you have Nick Fuentes talking about JD Vance and this whole push to have him be the nominee for 2028. And I agree with Nick. I don't like this assumption on the right that JD is the guaranteed nominee already. 2028 will be the first election since 2016 where there will be an open primary with multiple candidates. And I want to see what my other options are first. I'm not throwing my vote behind Vance without him being challenged first and proving himself by winning primaries against other challengers. Like, I don't want the 2028 primary to be a cakewalk for Vance. In 2016, Trump proved himself in the debates and state primaries by defeating 16 other candidates. Vance needs to do the same. Now, not exactly 16 others, but he needs some strong competition like Trump had. And if this administration keeps going the way that it has this past year, why should JD get the nomination? He will have a lot of baggage, and simply saying he'll be different won't be enough. It wasn't enough for Kamala. Just like Kamala, JD will be asked the question, what will you do differently? And if JD's answer isn't something like, I'll be stricter on immigration, I'll ban H-1B visas, or I'll register AIPAC as a foreign agent and call Israel out when they need to be, or I will cut income tax instead of giving corporations another corporate tax, then he can easily lose to another Republican who steps up and does say those things. So I hate this vote blue no matter who, or vote red until you're dead mentality. These people that Nick talks about who say we must vote for Vance or else the left will win have this mentality. I get where they're coming from, though, but our votes are earned. They are not given. If conservatives don't want the left to win, then you need to nominate people worth voting for. You're not just going to put anybody up there and get my vote anyways. But for many of the other pundits, that is good enough for them. They will just vote for whoever the GOP throws in front of them. They will eat whatever slop gets thrown in front of them. And I'm for accountability over tribal voting. What people like Nick are saying is, no, actually, our vote comes with conditions. There are requirements candidates must meet in order to get our vote. And the rebuttal from the partisan right will be, well, the left is still worse. It doesn't matter if the establishment right is the nominee. If the establishment Republican is the nominee, the left is still worse. You should vote for the establishment rhino anyways. And it's like, America is this car heading towards a cliff. And the voters are sitting in the back seat, and we get to vote who the driver is. And our options are a Democrat who gets behind the wheel and drives 100 miles per hour towards the cliff, or a Republican who gets behind the wheel and just slows the car down to 10 miles per hour towards the cliff. Either way, we're still heading towards a cliff, just at different speeds. And what people like Nick are saying is like, no, how about we vote for someone who gets behind the wheel and turns the car around? How about we don't head towards the cliff? So I'm just sick of the like lesser of two evils argument. If the Republicans are leading America to the same destination as the left, just slower, we have two options. Either choose a different path or just not vote. Just let it collapse anyways, because what's the difference? We're getting to the same destination. The biggest enemy to America has and always will be the establishment right. The establishment right is a bigger threat than the left. Why? Because they always end up giving in to the left anyways. They will pretend to be on your side. Then they will stab you in the back. At least the left will let you know that they're your enemy. The establishment right will pretend to be your friend, then become your enemy when you need them the most. Think about Trump's first term. Who stopped the repealing of Obamacare? John McCain, establishment rhino. Who stopped the funding of the wall? Establishment rhinos. We had control of Congress and we still couldn't fund the wall in the first term. Who keeps increasing the debt and not cutting wasteful spending? Establishment rhinos. Who promises tax cuts for the middle class and never delivers? The establishment right. The establishment right is the biggest obstacle to defeating the left. We cannot defeat the left until the right defeats the establishment right and takes over the party from them. So, we have to expel these type of Republicans in the 2026 primaries and in the 2028 presidential primaries. And we have to replace them with national populist types. 2026 and 2028 is the time to do that by having the establishment right win the primaries and take over the party from all these rhinos. And the donor class must learn by losing elections if that doesn't happen. The disconnect between the donor class and the voter base must end. They must start nominating and funding America First candidates only. And if they don't, they keep nominating people who are establishment, then you're going to lose to the left. So you either nominate people who are worth voting for or you lose. It's that simple. I'm not going to vote for a rhino in 2028 or in 2026 midterms. But, I don't think JD is one of those. Just to be clear, I don't think JD is establishment rhino. I think he's far better than most of the other Republicans. But I'm just saying he does need to prove himself. I don't like this. JD is already the nominee for 28. No, you have to prove yourself. You need to go through the process of the primaries. I mean, how is this any different than what like the Democrats did with Kamala, where she didn't go through a primary? She was just chosen as a nominee. The voters on the Democrat Party didn't have a say. They were just like, this is who you're getting. Suck it up and vote for her. I don't want to do that on a right. I don't want it to be like, JD's your nominee and that's it. You got to vote for him. No, he's got to prove himself. He has to be challenged from the right, from other people in the primaries. He's got to win each state caucus and primary. And then he needs to, prove himself by doing that. And if he can't, if someone else comes from the right and can outflank him, then that person deserves to win. And us as voters should have that ability to choose which candidate we think is the best and not just be served up JD Vance and say, this is who you get, now go vote. And JD might be the right guy. I'm not saying he's not. He could be the right guy, but I'm saying at least give us the option or give us other options to choose over JD or to choose JD if he ends up being the right guy. But don't just shove him in our face and say, this is who you're getting, now go vote. Nah, I'm not for that. So I agree with Nick on the points he made there. But anyways, guys, I'll leave the video there. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I have a Buy Me a Coffee page if you'd like to support this channel. And anyways, I'll just leave it there. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.